Welcome back to another episode of TuneLeak TV. I'm your host, Ben Craven, a cinematic prog rock artist from Brisbane, Australia, keeping the musical spirit of the 70s alive with a healthy dose of 21st century orchestral film music. But that's not why we're here. If you want to check out my stuff, there's a link to a free download of a few tracks. Please check it out. It's free, I tell you, it's free. But we're here today to talk about Die Before You Wake, the single edit. I want to show you some of the things going on in the background, some of the cool little things that are here. If you haven't heard the track yet, check out the link to the video of Die Before You Wake, the single edit. It's only 4 or so minutes. It's not going to take away a large chunk of your life, not like the 20-minute full-length version. That's one side of the virtual vinyl album. So just to refresh your mind, everyone knows this. This track originally comes from a demo that I put down, I think it was in 1994, possibly 95. It was a Yamaha PSR 410 General MIDI keyboard, which was my flagship at the time. I was so happy to finally have something good. There's this demo of a very basic riff and some chords. I loved it at the time, as all budding songwriters love everything they do and think it's beyond reproach. But I did put it in the can for something to work on later. Many, many years later, it turns out. So that's all there is. It's pretty straightforward. Not a lot going on there. But it was a bit simplistic and a bit obvious, so I wanted to change it up a bit for this actual final version. One of the key things, the obvious changes, was the time signature was changed from 4/4 to 7. Sacred union counter strength from our formidable foes. The original riff, though, remains chances from as a guitar and a kalimba. So that's a really nice link back to the original demo. The chord sequence is very similar. It's a bit extended. It's a bit more sophisticated at the end. The nice little turnaround here, which pushes us into the next key. We modulate. The other big difference is that there is a vocal melody. So I've got some footage coming up with this melody. It's originally a piano and guitar track. I think the melody would have been written on guitar. It's certainly not something I would have sung. You may be deceived into thinking that this video is just a piano and a guitar duet. It's not. And then it does move on into a section where I do talk about some of the issues I've got, whether or not to bring in the huge orchestra. But this is from a couple of years ago, the demo of this track. Let's have a look. I have to use that. So I must apologize for my exuberance in that video. Quite clearly, there's a bit of dopamine going on, which is, this is the whole reason that we write music and that we record music, so we can listen to it back and get that hit. One of the reasons. So we have a verse, and then you could see that the chorus is taking shape. One nice thing about the chorus is that it has that riff again running through it, even though it's in a different chord, different key. Cowbell offbeat. I must show you the orchestra over that section though. So, I've touted this as being the James Bond like theme on this album, which it is. But if you hear the orchestra in isolation, I think that becomes really, really obvious when the staccato horns come in, as they do here. It could not be more obvious. I actually think that is somehow buried in the mix. Just, well, not buried, but not immediately obvious, so. Might be slightly more subtle than that. I've got to show you the bass line too. So look, I'm really, really happy with how this bass turned out. I'm playing the 5-string, and it's probably the 5-string because there's a bit of D or whatever. I'm not sure what the reason. But the bass does funk up a little bit. So I'm really quite happy with the way it turned out. It is doubled by a Taurus, which we'll throw in. Hammond chords. So we had a verse, or we have a verse, we have a chorus. The other bit it needed was a third piece, a bridge or a middle section or whatever, just kind of to take the heat off. It's really quite intense what's going on there. And this bridge that ended up in the song is, in comparison, really quite light and airy, and a bit of a relief from the other things. But if I isolate the rhythm guitars, so there's a clean kind of sweeping electric on there with a uni vibe. I wonder where that came from. And an acoustic. And look, let's put the drums and bass in. So we're honest to goodness 4-piece at this point. It's a nice little respite from the rest of it. I have got some video footage of laying down the acoustic in this section, so it really just demonstrates just how simple it is. So take it away, Ben. So there we have some of the secrets behind this track. Single edit of Die Before You Wake. Obviously, there's a lot more I can talk about in the bigger version, which is something we'll look at doing in a future episode of TuneLeak TV. Thank you so much to my patrons. You guys mean the world to me, and they make videos like these possible. So until next time, thank you for watching, and we'll see you soon.